Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Destiny video. Today Fantasy Flight released information on Star Wars Destiny Convergence. That is set number 7, supposed to be coming out next year. We have quite a few new cards here, some new characters returning in different forms. Looks like we have a new Obi-Wan Kenobi, so General Kenobi, we have a new Jabba the Hutt, a new Captain Phasma, as well as a couple new card types, which are downgrades and bounties. First bounty up there is Wanted. We'll get to that one a little bit later in the video because they actually did fully reveal that card. Another card here partially revealed is Target Acquired. The Target Acquired is Downgrade, red. Pay 1 resource. I'm not sure if it's hero, villain, or neutral, but you can only play it onto a damaged character, so damaged character only. And indirect damage assigned by the attached character's controller must be assigned to the attached character if able. So basically, you throw that on there, and then if they're assigning indirect damage to themselves, it looks like, they have to go to that card first. Yeah, because indirect damage assigned by the character's controller. So if I put that on an opponent's character, let's say they're playing an Afra deck and they're trying to use indirect damage to draw cards, I can play that list on whoever they're playing that isn't Afra, and then when they assign damage to themselves, it has to go after the character that this downgrade is on. So downgrades, you play onto your opponent's cards, and they have various effects. We'll get to a couple of those a little bit later in the video. I think there's at least one. And then we have bounties, which also go onto your opponent's cards or your opponent's characters, and then once those characters are defeated, you get whatever the effect is. So with Wanted, it says after the attached character is defeated, you gain 2 resources. So it looks like we have, again, new Phasma, new Jabba, new Obi-Wan. That Obi-Wan is on the starter set, so it's going to be a General Kenobi versus General Grievous for the starter sets for Convergence. So that's going to do it for the little this little card fan here. We're going to actually move into the full cards. We'll be right back with those. And first up, we have Captain Phasma, Stormtrooper Commander, 12 health, either 18 or 21 points, depending on how you want to run her. She's a leader and a trooper, 1 range, 2 focus, shield resource blank, and you may resolve your trooper dice showing damage as if they were showing melee damage. So I imagine potentially in the set we'll get her like Force Pike or whatever that is she uses in The Last Jedi, and then you'll be able to resolve that along with her range damage as melee damage. So there's going to be, if you're running a deck that is, let's say you're running a Phasma deck with some other blue character, you can resolve her damage as melee to go along with your other, your blue character that's also running melee damage. Cool thing is, she has a power action. Roll 2, set aside first order Stormtrooper dice into your pool. Set those dice aside after they are resolved or removed. So, power action, you roll those 2 dice into your pool, and then, like, once you resolve them, they're going to get removed. So, it lets you use 2 first order Stormtrooper dice. Cool thing with her, so she's 21 points, so you'll be able to pair her with a single first order Stormtrooper for 28. You would have 2 points left over for a plot if you wanted to use that, which we'll get to a little bit later in the video. But plot, and then when you do her power action, you basically still get 2 more Stormtrooper dice rolled into your pool. So even if you're only running her and a normal and a regular Stormtrooper, you would then still get to roll in 2 of those extra Stormtrooper dice as well. And we'll get to the first order Stormtrooper a little bit later in the video. So again, high health here, kind of expensive, but 1821. Again, you do get those 2 extra dice, and then the cool ability to resolve your trooper dice showing damage as if it was melee. And that just says damage, so I imagine that also means indirect as well. So if you have a trooper that has indirect damage, I imagine, yeah, because it doesn't say resolve range as melee, it just says showing damage. So if it's showing indirect, I imagine you get to resolve that as melee. Range, you get to resolve that as melee as well. So that is Captain Phasma, Stormtrooper Commander. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have the Commando Droid, 7 health for 8 points, 1 range, plus 2 range, 2 indirect, resource and blank. It's a droid. After you activate this character, you may activate one of your droid characters or supports. So basically, you roll this in, you can roll in a battle droid or another character that's also a droid, like IG-88 is, I don't know if he had the droid subtype or not, but any other character that's a droid can roll in, or a support as well. So, yep, after you activate the character, you may activate one of your droid characters or supports. So does it say a droid? Does that have to be a droid support, or it can be any support? It just says or supports. But anyway, this is from the General Grievous starter set. So I believe you're probably going to be running Grievous and one of these guys. And again, we got 4 damage sides on him, plus a resource. And then I like the when you activate him, you can roll in another droid or a support. So that is the Commando droid. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have the First Order Stormtrooper, 7 health, 7 points. I actually compared this to the original First Order Stormtrooper, and this is a straight-up reprint of the original First Order Stormtrooper from the Kylo Ren starter, as well as Awakenings. So 1 range, 2 range, 2 range for a resource, and 2 blanks. Question being is, with Phasma's ability, it specifically cites this card, or this particular die number. I'm wondering if you are able to use your First Order Stormtrooper dice from Awakenings for her power action, essentially because they are the exact same card, the exact same character. There might be a ruling where you have to use this particular one. But again, 7 health, 7 points. Again, 1 range, 2 range, 2 range for a resource, and the blank, exactly the same as the original. So the way Magic does this is, if a card is in standard at the moment, or modern or whatever, you can use any particular printing of that card in your deck. So I'm wondering if the original First Order Stormtrooper, if you're playing in a standard tournament, if you're allowed to use that particular card and dice or die to play this First Order Stormtrooper in standard. I'm sure there'll be clarifications about that. I think you probably should be able to, because with the 2-player starter set, the cards that were reprinted in there are legal in Trilogy, because that is a product for the 2-player starter was a product for Trilogy. So one thing though is Phasma's die or card for her power action does specifically say roll 2 of this dice number 20 into your pool. I don't think the original First Order Stormtrooper from Awakenings was number 20. But again, it's the exact same die. All the sides are the same. It's still the 2 resource and the double blanks. But again, new First Order Stormtrooper plays in with Captain Phasma. So if you have her, you can power action roll 2. You got to set 2 of these set aside. You can roll them in. So that is the new First Order Stormtrooper, same as the original. But nice to see that they're bringing some of these characters back into, well, because that one will be rotating when this set comes out. So this will keep that card in standard for a while. So that is the new Stormtrooper. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have General Grievous, Droid Army's Commander. 9 health, 9 or 12 points, depending on how you want to run him. So the 1-to-1 point ratio. Interesting thing is there's no melee damage on this version of Grievous. So we have 1 range, 2 indirect, 2 focus, shield, a resource, and blank. He's a leader character. And while building your team, the point value of each droid is decreased by 1. So you can potentially run Grievous and have, let's see, 3 battle droids. They're running at basically 5 points apiece. So you have 15 points there, plus 12, so you have 27. Then you have enough for like a 3-point plot or something. And as a power action, reroll any number of your droid dice. So roll in a bunch of droids, do a bunch of things that lets you activate all of your droid stuff at once, all your droid characters anyway, and then just power action and reroll all of them. The interesting thing, I think, is there's no melee damage, so he's got range and indirect. But again, this is a starter card, so it's not particularly designed to be amazing. But the ability to have a cheaper droid army is interesting. So even if you run 1 Grievous, you have you could do 5, 10, 15. You could do 4 battle droids and a single Grievous, because they would be 5 points apiece. And again, the 1-to-1 point ratio with 9 health for 9 points. So that is General Grievous. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Jabba the Hutt, Influential Kingpin, 10 health for 10 or 13. Again, the 1-to-1 point ratio. This is another legendary, so this is the 3rd version of Jabba. So we had the one from Awakenings. I think it was Way of the Force, I think, had a Jabba, and now there's this Jabba. It may have been Legacies. I don't recall. But let's see. So 2 focus, disrupt, discard, resource, plus 2 resources and blank. He's a leader and a scoundrel. After you activate this character, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal a bounty or yellow event from among them, and add it to your hand. Place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So we'll get to bounties a little bit later, but I like that it's kind of thematic. He's able to, when he rolls in, he's able to basically search for an event or a bounty, and then basically maybe put a bounty on somebody on your next turn after you activate Java. So legendary. We'll have to see how bounties work out. I'm not sure how this. I still think the original Java might still be the better Java, but 10 health. I think it's the same health as the original Java. The original Java maybe even had 11 health, but I don't recall exactly. But the focus size is good. He's got some disrupt, some discard, and he has ways to get resources, and then ways to get maybe like a yellow event that you really need into your hand, or one of those bounties as well. So that is Jabba the Hutt. We're going to move into our next card. And next up we have Deathmark. So this is a downgrade, and it's a bounty. So Jabba can basically look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and he can pull one of these out. So 0 resources, yellow villain bounty. After the attached character is defeated, you may draw 3 cards. So what you do with these is, from the way the article sounds, is I play this onto an opponent's character, and then once that character is defeated, you get whatever the effect of the bounty is. So this one, once the character gets defeated, you get to draw 3 cards. So pretty cool. Cost 0. And I believe each character can have, again, with upgrades, they can also have 3 downgrades on them as well. So you can have 3 upgrades on your character, but then your opponent may play up to 3 downgrades on those characters as well. And each of these downgrades, at least these bounties, have some different effect that will trigger once that character gets defeated. So that is Deathmark. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Mace Windu, Inspiring Master. 11 health, 12 or 16 points, depending on how you want to run him. He's a character and a leader. A Jedi and a leader, sorry. 1 melee, 2 melee, 2 melee, 2 focus, resource, and blank. And as a power action, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may play an upgrade from among them. Place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. If the upgrade was played on a Jedi, give that character a shield. So potentially, if you were to pair this up with somehow pair him up with one of the original Qui-Gon, you could get an upgrade, play the upgrade onto Qui-Gon, and then give Qui-Gon a shield, and then remove the shield to do a damage. So 11 health is pretty good. I think the original Mace Windu was 12. I think this one is not quite as strong. Its sides are definitely weaker as far as damage. But this will keep Mace Windu in standard. A different version of Mace Windu, but he'll at least still be in standard once the one from Empire at War rotates out. So 11 health is good. His points seem pretty good. So 16 points for a decent die. So 3 damage sides, 2 focus is good. And then a power action that lets you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and get an upgrade. The rest go on the bottom, so you can also cycle through your deck if there's cards you don't want to use at the moment. So again, that is Mace Windu. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ardent Avenger. 11 health, 14 or 18 points. This is the starter Obi-Wan. So 2 melee, or he's also a Jedi. 2 melee, 3 melee for a resource, 2 focus, 2 shields, resource, and blank. And as a power action, resolve one of your dice showing a value of 2 or more, increasing its value by 1. So if I have him rolled out on his 3 melee, I can power action and have that be 4 melee for a resource. Health is decent. Points are decent as well, so you can run him at elite and have 12 points left over. I like he's got the 2 damage sides. Everything on his die is a 2 except for his resource. The double focus is nice, double shields. Again, 2 melee and 3 melee as well. And then a decent power action to get 1 extra damage out of a die that is 2 or higher. So that is Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Mace Windu's Lightsaber. Blue Hero Upgrade Weapon, 3 resources. 1 melee, 2 melee, plus 3 melee, 2 shields, special, and a blank. As a power action, you can spot Mace Windu to move the upgrade to him. So you can play it on another character, and then if that character is about to get defeated, you can basically just pull the upgrade over to Mace Windu. Special, deal 2 unblockable damage to a character. Then if that character has 1 remaining health, defeat it. It's kind of like, is it like Finishing Strike, I think, from Across the Galaxy, where you do unblockable damage, and then if the character has 1 health remaining, it gets defeated. So very similar to that card effect. Has like an interesting, it's not redeploy, but it kind of almost does redeploy, because as long as you do it before that character gets defeated. And I'm not sure how useful that power action is going to be, because if I'm playing Mace Windu, I'm probably going to put this card on him to begin with and not have it on another character, because you have to play it onto the other character, roll it out, and then potentially still have Mace Windu alive to use the power action to get the upgrade onto Mace Windu. Not big on the artwork on this. The artwork just looks kind of silly, but decent lightsaber. So we have 3 damage sides, so a 1, a 2, a +3. 4 damage sides, actually, if you count the special, dealing 2 unblockable as well. So that is Mace Windu's lightsaber. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Satine Kryze, Hope of Mandalore. 9 health, 8 or 10 points, depending on how you want to run her. So actually, even below the point ratio. Usually, they've been doing this 1-to-1 ratio. This is actually 1 point less for 1 more health. So 9 health for 8 points, 10 points for elite leader character. 2 indirect, focus, resource, 2 resources for a resource, and a blank. And after you activate this character, you may re-roll 1 of your dice. So she rolls in and gets to immediately re-roll 1 of them. So it looks like Obi-Wan is 18 points. So it looks like they're leaving you with a 28-point team if both of them are elite. So Obi-Wan being 18, Satine being 10 for elite. I don't know if they're going to do double elites or not. But then I like the rollout. So you roll her in and you get to re-roll 1 of your dice. Kind of works a little bit like Han, but I think Han can re-roll anything from the Han starter set from Legacies. Don't really recall. I haven't really played Han in a while, but we have, so again, damage. So we have some focus sides, and some resource sides as well. So that is Satine. We're going to move into our next card. Next up, we have Force Flow. So it's a 2-point blue neutral plot. As an action, you can set the plot aside to turn a die to any side. So I'm imagining this comes in the Obi-Wan starter set. So and again, Obi-Wan being 18, Satine being 10. You have 28 points. You then play a 2-point plot for 30. Not sure how I feel about this plot. So you're going to have to, again, run a 28-point team to use it. And then it looks like it's a one-time use thing. So 2 point, you have to subtract 2 points. So build only 28 points to have a die that you have to you turn a die as an action. But then basically you're as an action you're turning the die and getting rid of the card. If there was a way to, like, let's say, like, turn 1 of your dice and somehow have that be resolvable, that might be a little bit better. But I think 2 points just to turn a die isn't that great. I think there's like other better ways to turn a die. But I'm imagining this is going to be put into the Obi-Wan and Satine deck. And then what I would do is probably just either replace it with another blue plot that costs 2, or a yellow plot that costs 2, or just a gray one that costs 2. I think those plots are probably better than this. But again, because then you're having to take an action to turn that die. Your opponent can obviously just re-roll, or if you're playing, let's say, against blue, and let's say like they're using Force Strike, you can turn the die to a blank, and they can just Force Strike that die right back to damage. So I don't particularly think Force Flow is that great, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. So that is Force Flow. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Advanced Training, neutral red plot, 2 points. You may resolve your trooper dice showing a blank as if they were indirect damage that have a value of 1. So I believe Phasma was 21. You could run a single First Order Stormtrooper to be 28, then run Advanced Training. The Stormtroopers all have double blanks on them, and Phasma, I believe, has a blank herself. So you basically can use this plot. You resolve those blanks for 1 indirect damage. This is a really cool plot. So especially if you're playing on with a deck or dice that have more than 1 blank, you're probably going to be rolling a blank or 2 here and there, especially since there's more than 1 side that is blank. And now being able to resolve those sides as indirect damage is really interesting. So I think, you have to, so you may resolve your trooper dice showing blanks. So it has to be, again, the First Order Stormtroopers. It can be Phasma. If they do other troopers that can slot into her deck and you have 2 points left over, you'd be able to resolve those trooper dice as well. I imagine there's also going to be cards that turn stuff into troopers. I know Stealthy was a hero card that gave the trooper keyword to whoever it was attached to. So if you're playing a red, like let's say a red yellow deck, be able to use, and let's say I put Cassian and had Cassian be a trooper, and I had some other red character, I could then roll Cassian in with Stealthy. He counts as a trooper now because of Stealthy. So he's a trooper. So let's say I roll a blank, I can then resolve that die as indirect damage. And then that would also work with Cassian because whenever you resolve his die, you get to either do the indirect or discard a card. So advanced training is a really cool plot. We really want to try working with that just because a lot of the trooper dice do have more than one blank. So that is advanced training. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Wanted. We looked a little bit at this card earlier. So it's another downgrade bounty, yellow neutral, 0 resources. After the attached character is defeated, you gain, or you may gain 2 resources. So put onto a character you really want to have get defeated, defeat that character, then gain 2 resources. Pretty simple, but really interesting. I'm really liking these downgrade cards. So especially these bounties. Bounties seem fun. So that is Wanted. We're going to move into our next card. And the final card for today is Wounded. This is a neutral downgrade injury. So 1 resource, attached character has -1 health. So you pay your resource, you put it onto an opponent's character, that character then has 1 less health. So I imagine if they have 1 health remaining, you basically can pay 1, throw this on there, and also defeat a character with this. So it could be a really cool way to defeat a character without actually having to kind of roll in. It's essentially guaranteed damage, basically. So you pay your 1 resource, they then have 1 less health than they would normally. I know the Plastoid armor was a +1 to health, so if they have that on there, you can basically negate Plastoid armor with Wounded. But I think really fun thing to do would basically be get a character down to 1, and then pay 1 resource, and basically deal 1 more damage with this downgrade. So that is it for this video. Again, this was spoilers for Star Wars Destiny Convergence, which is the next upcoming set for Star Wars Destiny. Should be out sometime next year. I want to thank everyone for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back with more spoiler videos in the future for Convergence. Until then, take care. Thanks again for watching.